The phone buzzed on the kitchen counter just as the sun slid through the blinds. Emma Carter was alone, barefoot on the cold tile, waiting for her coffee to finish brewing. The house was quiet in that soft, early morning way that used to feel safe. She glanced at the screen without much thought. Then she froze. The message was from her husband, Daniel. "I'm done. I filed for divorce. Please don't contact me." No greeting. No explanation. No warning. Emma stared at the words, reading them once, then again as if the meaning might change. Her mind searched for context, for some missing piece. Last night they had spoken about groceries. 2 days ago he had kissed her cheek before leaving for work. Nothing had sounded final. Nothing had sounded like this. She typed his name into the call screen and pressed dial. The line rang once, then went silent. Voicemail. She tried again. Same result. A third time, nothing. The house seemed to shrink around her, walls closing in as the hum of the refrigerator grew loud in her ears. She told herself to breathe. She told herself not to panic. Daniel could be dramatic. He could cool off. Okay, maybe. This was a cruel joke. Maybe his phone had been stolen. She needed facts, not fear. Emma opened the banking app they both used, the one linked to their joint account. Bills were due soon. Rent, utilities, insurance. The screen loaded slowly. Then the number appeared. 0. Not low. Not reduced. Empty. Her hands shook so badly the phone nearly slipped from her fingers. She sank into a chair and stared at the balance, refreshing the page as if the money might return. It didn't. The savings tab showed the same result. Account they had built together over 11 years gone. A memory flashed through her mind. Daniel standing at the dining table months earlier. Talking about being careful with money, about planning for the future. She had trusted him. She had signed papers with him. She had believed that whatever problems they had, they were a team. Now there was no team. Just silence and an empty account. Emma stood and walked through the house, touching familiar things as if they might anchor her. The couch where they watched movies. The shelf with framed photos from a road trip to the coast. The hallway mirror where she once fixed his tie before a wedding. Each step felt unreal, like walking through someone else's life. Her phone buzzed. Again? For a moment, hope lifted her chest. She turned the screen over quickly. Another message from Daniel. "I've moved out. Don't look for me. This is better for both of us." That was all. No apology. No reason. No care for how she would pay rent or buy groceries. The message felt cold, final, and carefully chosen, like a door slammed shut from the other side. Emma sat on the edge of the bed and tried to understand how a marriage could end without a conversation. She thought of all the times she had asked Daniel if something was wrong. All the times he said he was tired, stressed, busy. She had believed him because love taught her to trust. The shock slowly turned into a deep ache. Not loud, not dramatic, just heavy. Tears came quietly, falling onto her hands. She didn't sob. She didn't scream. She simply sat there breathing through the pain, wondering what she had missed. She checked her email. Nothing from a lawyer. No official notice. It's just a text message and a vanished bank account. The more she thought about it, the stranger it felt. Daniel liked control. He liked planning. His move was fast, sharp, and careless in a way that didn't match the man she knew. Emma wiped her face and stood up. She needed air. Outside, the morning had fully arrived. Cars passed. Neighbors walked dogs. Life moved forward without noticing that her world had cracked open. She locked the door behind her and sat on the front steps. The cool air helped steady her thoughts. She pulled her phone close again and reread Daniel's message, this time slowly. The words were simple, but the choice behind them was not. He had chosen distance. He had chosen silence. He had chosen to take everything and leave her to deal with the damage. For a moment, anger flickered. Then it settled into something sharper and clearer. Resolve. Emma had never liked conflict. She avoided loud arguments. She believed in fixing things quietly. But this was not a misunderstanding. This was not a fight. This was abandonment, delivered in a few lines of text. She called her sister in California and left a message, her voice steady even as her heart raced. She sent a short note to her boss explaining she needed the day off. She packed a small bag with clothes and her laptop, choosing only what she needed. Each action helped her regain a little control. Before leaving, she took one last look around the house. It no longer felt like a home. It felt like a place that had been emptied not just of money, but of honesty. She picked up the photo frame from the shelf and turned it face down. As she closed the door, Emma didn't know where Daniel had gone or why he had done this. She didn't know how long the legal road ahead would be. She didn't know how she would rebuild what was taken, but she knew one thing with sudden clarity. This story wasn't over. Daniel believed a text message could end a marriage and erase his responsibility. He believed disappearing would protect him from consequences. He believed Emma would be too hurt, too quiet, too kind to respond. He was wrong. And as Emma walked down the steps and into the bright morning, she carried a calm truth with her, one that Daniel had never seen coming. Emma did not stay in the house that night, okay? She drove straight to Rachel's apartment across town, her hands tight on the steering wheel, her thoughts racing faster than the traffic around her. The city lights blurred past her windshield as the shock slowly turned into something steadier. She wasn't broken, she was hurt, but she was thinking clearly now. Rachel opened the door before Emma could knock. One look was enough. No questions, no pressure. She pulled Emma into a quiet hug and let her cry for the first time since the message arrived. The tears came fast, then slowed, then stopped. Emma wiped her face, took a deep breath, and told the story from beginning to end. The text, the empty account, the silence. Rachel listened carefully, arms folded, eyes sharp. When Emma finished, the room was quiet for a moment. Then Rachel spoke, calm but firm. She said this was not just cruel, it was not normal, and it was not something Emma had to accept. Those words mattered more than comfort. They felt like direction. That night, Emma slept on the couch under a warm blanket, staring at the ceiling. Sleep came in pieces. Every time she woke up, the truth returned quickly, but it no longer crushed her. Her mind kept moving forward. What had Daniel really done? And what could she do next? By morning, Emma was ready to act. She showered, dressed simply, and made coffee with Rachel in silence. Then she opened her laptop and started organizing. Bank statements, old emails, account records. She wrote dates and times in a notebook, keeping everything clear and clean. She didn't rush, she focused. Each detail gave her back a small piece of control. Later that day, she sat in a quiet office across from a lawyer named Michael Harris. He was older, calm, and careful with his words. Emma told him the facts without drama. She didn't speak from anger, she spoke from clarity. Michael listened, asked short questions, and took notes. When she finished, he leaned back slightly and nodded. He explained that a text message did not end a marriage. He explained that draining a joint account without agreement was serious. He explained that Daniel's actions had consequences, even if he believed they didn't. Emma felt a weight lift from her chest. Not relief, but grounding. She wasn't imagining the injustice. It was real. Michael told her the process would take time. Paperwork, patience, clear thinking. Emma agreed to everything. She signed forms, scheduled follow-ups, and left the office, with a folder in her hands and something steady in her heart. The days that followed were full but focused. Emma returned to work at the nonprofit, where she helped manage community programs. Her coworkers noticed she was quieter, but she stayed strong. Helping others gave her purpose. It reminded her that life continued even after betrayal. In the evenings, she walked alone through nearby parks, letting the cool air clear her mind. She didn't replay old conversations. She didn't wonder what she had done wrong. She accepted that some answers would never come, and that was okay. What mattered was what she did next. She stopped checking her phone for Daniel's name. She blocked his number. Silence, she realized, could be peaceful when chosen, not forced. One afternoon, while sorting files at work, Emma noticed something new. She felt calm. Not happy yet, but calm. The sharp edge of pain had softened into determination. She was learning how to stand in her own space again. At night, she wrote in a journal, not about loss, but about plans, where she wanted to live, what kind of life felt right, what she would never accept again. The words came easily, honest and clear. Weeks passed. Legal steps moved forward quietly. Emma followed every instruction, answered every email, and stayed steady. She didn't talk about Daniel unless necessary. He was no longer the center of her story. One evening, sitting on Rachel's balcony as the sun dipped low, Emma realized something important. Daniel had left in a way that showed who he truly was. But she was staying in a way that showed who she was becoming. She wasn't trying to prove anything. She wasn't chasing justice out of anger. She was protecting herself, her future, and her peace. The woman who had stared at a phone in shock weeks ago was gone. In her place stood someone quieter, stronger, and more aware. Someone who understood that survival didn't always look dramatic. Sometimes it looked like calm steps, taken one after another. Daniel believed he had ended the story with a message and an empty account. He believed Emma would fall apart, disappear, or give up. But Emma was doing the opposite. She was building something new. And somewhere, far away, Daniel still had no idea just how carefully she was moving forward or how close the truth was to catching up with him.